It's you.
Hi, I'm Monica with Two Chicks with Hiking Sticks.
And I'm Susan. I'm also with Two Chicks with Hiking Sticks, and we're your hosts.
Hostesses.
We like to cover the cultural, natural, and historical world around us and share it with you.
Yes, we do. And today we're going to visit Sky City, Acoma. I've heard it pronounced two different ways, Acoma and Acoma.
Every video I've seen says Acoma.
Okay, I saw one last night that said Acoma.
Okay.
I go with Acoma.
I go with Acoma.
Yeah. And so the reason that I thought this would be an interesting place for us to talk about and to visit is because it's been living rent-free in my head for quite a while now.
And there you go. That's as good a reason as any.
I visited it the first time with a friend of mine, probably at least 30 years ago.
Oh, my.
Yeah, it could have been longer. But might have been longer than that. We weren't planning on going there. We were just camping in and around the area. And
let's talk about where it is first.
Well, yeah, it's in New Mexico, and it is about 60 miles west of Albuquerque. And I would say once you get off the main highway, probably another 15 miles north from the highway where you exit. There's a casino and a hotel, the Acoma's Casino and Hotel, and then you take the turn off there and you go in. And there's signs. I mean, it's not like it's out in the middle of nowhere that you can't figure out where you're going. So it's in New Mexico, and it's a very easy drive. Most of it is interstate, and you do want to check before you go there because they do close for ceremonies and things. But the first time that we went there, my friend and I, it was still very not as oriented as it is now to visitors. I mean, there were still visitors, but they just had like a place where you could go in and you would pay for the guided tour, and a school bus took us up, and I was just fascinated with it. It was founded, I think, in about 1100 AD.
Yes.
And it is known as the oldest continuously inhabited community in North America.
So this is where I'm going to interject because I get to do that this time.
Yes.
So you might remember in an episode that we did on Canyon de Chelly.
Yes.
And we had that discussion about Canyon de Chelly claims that it's been one of the most longest inhabited places as well, right?
Yes.
So
and so does Taos.
Which is interesting because, so it was interesting in looking that up and understanding the difference between Acoma and Canyon de Chelly. Acoma is for the Acoma peoples living in that area since 1100.
Yes.
For Canyon de Chelly, it's about human existence in that area. And that human existence can be traced back to BC time.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I just, because I had to look it up because I remember we talked about it in Canyon de Chelly video.
Right.
That I was curious to understand how did they make this distinction between Acoma and Canyon de Chelly.
So in Canyon de Chelly, though, is it continuously?
Yeah.
Okay. See, like I said, and Taos says the same thing.
Yeah, everybody says
Taos Reservation says the same thing, but that is what they talk about, and they make it a point of saying that. They are part of the Puebloan people.
Yes.
And a lot of their ancestral sites did include Chaco Canyon,
Yes.
Which I have not been to, and Mesa Verde, because they do talk about noticing the similarities in the buildings and things between those areas. I've been to Mesa Verde. I've not been to Chaco Canyon.
Yeah, I haven't either. I haven't been to either one.
And I guess I could see. I know Mesa Verde, the buildings were built along the cliff sides, and in Sky City, it's an actual. It's a mesa, and all the buildings are built on the mesa. So
they call it a bluff.
Yeah, I
It's
don't.
built up on the bluff.
I don't see the similarities, but there must have been at one time.
Yeah,
maybe.
because in Mesa Verde, it's like in the walls versus on top.
Yeah.
So I mean, other than maybe similar peoples, I don't know.
In Mesa Verde, you climbed in through the roof in a lot of their structures.
Yeah, versus Acoma, the first floor is storage, second floor is like working places, and then the third floor I think is sleeping.
Yeah, if they have them now, yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, but I found that interesting. Their family homes are occupied year-round by very few families. I think the last time when I was there last month, I want to say they said 17, maybe more or less. I think the time before that, when I went the first time, it was 11 people. But anyway.
But it's significant that anyone actually lives up there.
Yes, because there's no running water and there's no electricity.
Yeah, so they hold true to their traditional ways of living.
Yes.
Which is, the no electricity, no running water, and all of that.
Now, I think the difference now between the first time I visited and when my recent visit is that they used to get their water from, what do they call them?
The cisterns?
Cisterns, and I think now they actually have tanks that they're catching the rainwater in, I think. So, and then I think they have like a communal or community restroom area. I'm not positive about that, but however, they do say when there's celebrations and ceremonies, pretty much every home fills up.
Yeah.
It's a matriarchal society, which I thought was interesting, and
which is really how the world began anyway.
Yes,
I'm just saying.
It's true. It's true. And not only that, the interesting thing that I found was I believe our guide on this last trip mentioned that I think it's the youngest daughter that inherits everything, not the oldest daughter. I'm pretty sure that I remember her mentioning that because she joked that her sister got the houses, and that she was like, "Well, where are we going to live?" They were joking about it. But and the girl that checked us in at the checkpoint, she owned 2 houses.
Yeah.
There, so I think that's interesting. But yeah, they said during celebrations and ceremonies, they are pretty much full up. So back in the what did I have here? Like 1500s. 1599, I think, early 1600s.
Oh, the massacre?
Yeah, that
another
was
indigenous massacre.
Another indigenous massacre. Don't be surprised. The Spaniards came and they took some provisions from the Acoma people, and I don't know if they were given up willingly. I don't know, but they came back and they asked for more, and at that point, the Acoma people were like, I think we're done giving y'all provisions. And they...
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, they kind of did get angry. And they killed, I think, 14 people?
Well, but I don't find it, so one thing I think about this Acoma Pueblo is that we've described it being up on this bluff. It's 367-foot bluff. So, getting up there is no easy task
That's
at
correct,
all,
yes.
right? So,
yeah.
So you had these Spaniards coming up saying, hey, I need, right, because they're coming to want to claim land. And then they come back up and it's like, whoa, buddy.
Yeah, they came up there because they said, oh, this is going to be a great lookout for us to see what's going on. We should take this land. And they didn't come in that way originally. They came in just asking for stuff, and they were scouting the area.
Yeah.
But then they came in and they were kind of making more demands. So at that point, that particular leader was killed along with, I think, 7 of his men. The Spaniard that survived went back, told the colonial governor what happened, and then that guy went and spoke with the Franciscan priests and said, how should we respond? And the friars are like, well, you know what? If they're not going to submit voluntarily, it's okay if you go and,
That's so Franciscan of them.
Yes, mercy is not, you don't need to worry about mercy. Just do what you need to do. So the brother of the guy that was killed went back with 70 men and basically slaughtered 507 Acoma people. And then at that point, any women between the ages of 12 and 25 were taken in as slaves. Men over the age of 25 had a foot cut off, and the younger men under 20 were also enslaved. So,
and it's interesting because when they, if we go back to 1100 time frame, right, when the peoples were there, I think they numbered up to maybe even 3,000.
Yeah.
And then slowly, obviously disease and things when the Europeans started coming in, and then of course this massacre happens, their numbers dwindled rather fast.
Yeah, very, very quickly. And The thing is that the way that they had this area on the mesa, the only way to get up there were these steps that were built alongside of it, with just handholds. And the first time that we went there, and the guide talked to us, he explained to us that the women were the ones that would go down, because the fields were where they grew everything, and collect the water the crops, get the crops, and then make their way back up to the mesa with everything, which we'll talk about those steps in a minute, but that had to have been so difficult. So I understand the reticence about wanting to give up anything that you've put time and major effort into growing and sustaining yourself. Yeah. So, of course, then with the Spaniards came Catholicism, and they basically were forced to build a church there.
Right.
Yeah.
Forced to build this church on top of this bluff, carrying big timbers up to the top of the bluff.
And some of those timbers, if you get a chance to go visit Acoma, some of those timbers, the guide told us recently, came from Santa Fe, from Albuquerque, and they could not touch the ground. These timbers were not allowed to touch the ground. So they brought them, and they had them, I think she said they used kind of like rollers, but also if they touched the ground, then they had to abandon that and go back and get another one. And there's huge timbers in this church. It's amazing. And the other interesting thing about this church is that there are no pews. There's an altar. There's a lot of paintings on the side that are, you look at them and they're not your usual Catholic sort of paintings, because what the Acoma people have done, and you know, they talk about it a little bit in some videos that are on the website, and we'll put that in the blog, and also in the tour, is that they found a way to intermingle their cultural religion, their cultural beliefs with Catholicism. And, you know, the Catholic religion is still important to them.
Well, there's a lot of people that still subscribe to the Catholic religion.
Right.
And probably because they don't lose their entire identity, because they're able to keep some of their ancestral practices and things.
And this is the same thing we saw here at the San Antonio Missions.
Yeah.
You know, the indigenous people were living there, you know, freely, you know, harvesting, growing, gathering,
doing their own
thing, and then here come the Spaniards and the priests, and you know, and forcing Catholicism. But again,
forced labor building the church.
Yes, yeah. But again, you know, the people from Acoma found a way to incorporate their beliefs along with the Catholic beliefs. And one of the things that I found interesting is when I tell you there's no pews inside, it's just an open ground, so that when they have their ceremonies and celebrations, they actually do them in the church. So I think that's really, really interesting. And it's kind of, you're not thumbing your nose at anything, but it's interesting because it's a blend, and they've made it work.
Yeah.
They made it work. So they're still celebrating their celebrations, and they're using the church to do it in, and it's still part of that religion that some people, you know, still ascribe to.
Yeah.
So I found that very, very fascinating.
Yeah, it just killed me about, you know, the Spaniards coming in, forced labor, you're going to build this church even though you don't subscribe to it, and carrying these timbers all the way up to the top of this 367-foot bluff. It's like, it just kills me. And then we want you to go ahead and worship what we worship because, you know, you should.
Yeah.
But, you know, that they have found a way to incorporate that was interesting to me.
Yeah. It's a really thought-provoking place. And I think that's why it stayed in my head for so long, and why I was so eager to get back to it.
Because their traditions and stuff are just fascinating.
Yes. And we'll talk about that in a second, too. The first time I had a chance to try to go back, probably about 8 years ago, I went to Albuquerque and was visiting with some friends, and I said, hey, let's go. They'd never been. They lived there in New Mexico, but they haven't lived there for long when I went the first time. So we drove all the way out there, and they were closed for a ceremony. And so...
can't be mad about that.
You can't be mad about that. And we stopped at Dairy Queen and had lots of ice cream.
Because there you go.
Yeah. there's the silver lining. And so this time when I was there, I said, hey, let's go try again. But now, here's the thing, is they've got a huge cultural center there now.
Yes, and that's pretty, fairly recent.
Yes, it is. I'd
It's
say in
this
the last
century.
Yeah. In the last, I think she said, because I asked the girl, I said, well, the last time I came here, there was nothing here, and I think she said it late.
It was 2006.
Oh, was it? Okay.
When it opened.
Yeah, so they have the cultural center, they have a museum in there, they have, these are not big things, they're still kind of small, but there's a cafe, there's a shop.
If you get a chance, and I don't know if you were going to refer to this, but this is where I found it fascinating. There is a YouTube video that has the architect and the director at that time of the cultural center talking about how the cultural center was designed.
Oh, okay, no, I haven't seen that yet.
Fascinating stuff about how they really were incorporating the Acoma Puebloan people and what their traditions are and what their designs were, how they built their houses and stuff. You need to see the video. We can probably link it in the blog.
Yeah, we can do that because it's a beautiful cultural center. And the other thing that they have is a movie about Lucy Lewis and her children. And Lucy Lewis is a potter, very much along the veins, not the style, but along the veins of being as well known like Maria Martinez, who does the Pueblo. No. Maria Martinez does, it's the black on black pottery.
Black on black.
I cannot remember which tribe, but Lucy Lewis was the one that started that made the Acoma pottery a little bit better well known. And if you're familiar with Acoma pottery, that's the other thing that kept me just living in my head. That pottery is just amazing. It's
when you see it. Because you need to look it up or we'll have pictures of it somewhere. But when you see it and you see a lot of it, you're just amazed by the workmanship that goes in that.
It's crazy because they don't use a wheel. They make all their pottery with a coil or the slab method. They use river stones to smooth it out. And then once they've made it, and then I think kaolin, that's the material I think they wash it with, and then they get the mud from the clay from the same pit that they've been getting it from for hundreds of years, and so
thousands.
Yes, they make the pottery and then they paint it freehand. There's no stencils, and they use the needles of a yucca plant. They chew them to get them to the consistency they want, and it's very thin. And as a matter of fact, there was one lady that we talked to there, and I'll tell you more about the little things the places that are set up, but she told us that she uses her children's hair when her children were younger, and she kept their hair clippings, and she uses that to paint. So when you look at the pottery, it's a lot of geometric shapes, a lot of lines, some color, a lot of it black and white.
Yeah, because you get some reds and stuff, but the paints, like, one of the videos is about the father saying, having the kids go out and get this stuff to do the paints. Like, they created their own paints.
Right.
And that if you were painting something black, you needed to get a whole lot of it because you could only do black one color once.
Yes.
So, yeah.
The pottery is just gorgeous. And I think in another video I mentioned that at the first time I went there was there were people in the parking lot selling their wares, and I was like, it's so expensive. I'm going to go wait till I get to town. And then I got to town, and I was like, it was 3 times more expensive. Yeah. And I should have gotten it when I was there. But now, the beauty of it is that when you get to the visitor center and you walk in, you can choose to get the guided tour, which I would definitely suggest because that's the only way you're going to get up on the mesa. It's about $25 per person, and that includes the license to take photographs. Now, if you're going to take photographs of people, you don't have to, but you should ask their permission first. The license to photograph is of the buildings in the area, not the people. But the people are wonderful. They're very kind. They are happy to answer questions. Yeah. They're happy to talk to you. And a lot of them have set up tables out there. They know when the tours are coming. So they've set out tables out there with their pottery. And they will tell you, too. Some of their pottery is hand thrown. Some of it is ceramic, but they're hand painted. so that you know the
Yeah,
difference.
because so there's the original, which is the coil.
Yes.
And then there's the cast version,
Right.
which is basically they do the clay and they pour it into a mold,
Right.
and then they still hand paint it. So
Right.
it's all still hand painted. It's just which version is, so the coil is far more valuable,
Right.
just because that took even more effort to do.
Yeah, yeah, and they'll tell you right away so that you know what you're buying.
Yeah.
And
But
then,
you can usually tell from the irregularities between like the originals, like the
Yes.
the coil one. You can usually tell because it's not as formed.
and there's also a
perfectly.
different feel. To me, there's a different feel
Yeah.
to them. But so you can take your guided tour. It takes about an hour and a half. I would say that the ground is pretty uneven terrain. I had a walking stick, and that helped me a lot because I'm recuperating from a tendon,
issue.
a tendon thing. So if if you think that you need a little bit of support to stop from turning an ankle, then you might want to take a walking stick with you. There's lots of places to sit and rest. Some of the benches are in front of people's homes, and they do ask you to just be cognizant if you are going to sit down and if there's somebody is there to ask for permission, because you are walking around in somebody's
It's their
town.
home, yeah.
It's their homes, their place.
Yeah.
So you just want to be cognizant of that.
Yeah.
But they have a lot of things up for sale, and there was one lady there who was selling burritos and banana nut bread and something else. I don't remember what. I just remember when I got to the top of the line, the burritos were all gone. I am sad to say.
Sadness.
But there is a cafe there on site, and I had some delicious pozole with some fry bread. It was fry bread, and that's why I go. But the museum is there. It won't take you long. It's not a long, convoluted museum. There's a little bit to see, but it's all very interesting. The movie on Lucy Lewis and watching her make her pottery and seeing her kids. There's a couple of daughters in the movie or in the video, and they're making their pottery, and one of them goes up to her mother and she's like, "What do you think of them?" I was like, "Meh." And then she's like, "It's good." But
It'll do.
that little unspoken thing is like, but not as good as mine.
Well, one of the things I found interesting about Acoma is that both the Mission and the Pueblo are registered National Historical Landmarks. Like, we have finally recognized those places as that, which I think is so important in that, it's on the National Register of Historic Places. But it took until 2007 to make that happen, to become an actual to be named as a historic site. It's like, it's been around forever,
Yes.
and I'm so glad that at some point in the history, before it actually was formally recognized as a historical place, that we were preserving it and caring for it, so that not anybody can just go run up there and go onto the bluff and just check it out. It's like they structure that.
It's a fascinating place. And the last thing I'll mention for anybody that's interested in a little extra hiking is that when you're up at the top of the mesa and the tour is about to close, the tour guide will take you and there's a little spot that you can stand in, and then she shows you, here's the staircase down. If you want to take that and not ride back on the bus, you can. But she's very clear that I think at one point they may have had like a rope or something where people could hang on, but that's gone.
Oh.
There's some handholds that were built into the side of the cliffs or built along the walls of the cliff, and she said you can find those, but I think I kind of did peek over the side, and I was like, not for me.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, not doing that, taking the bus back down. But, there were several people from the tour. I think our tour group had probably, I would guess, it was a full bus. So I'd say, 6, 8, I would say 16 to 20 people.
It has to be a manageable size.
It
so
was
that
a
makes
good
sense.
size, and out of those 16 to 20, I would say maybe 5 or 6 of them opted to go down the stairs. And there was one lady who was saying that she had to sit on her butt and scooch to the edge and then drop off a little bit because some of the steps were a little high.
You do what you got to do.
Yeah, and it didn't take them long to get back. As a matter of fact, when we took the bus back down, they were almost all the way down the steps, and we passed them and said bye. But if you wanted to add that, so because the hike was about, well, I call it a hike, but the walk around was about an hour and a half, and I would say that on my Fitbit I had about a mile and a half of walking. It is hot if you're going on
There
a
is no
tour.
shade.
We went in the first one in the morning. There is no shade. Yeah, that's right. maybe the shade from a building, but really there's no shade. You want to wear a hat. You want to make sure that you take water with you. Nobody was selling water. Nobody was selling water. The bathrooms are at the visitor center, so there's no access to bathrooms or water or anything. So take your water. You can take it with you on the tour. Wear your hat. Put on some sunscreen. Try not to go to the midday tours if you can help it. And then when you get back, there are some other vendors that have also set up around the little plaza there. And it's a great visit. It's not that far out of the way. It's a lot of fun, and I think you learn a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like an exciting place. I've never been, but I've heard you talk about it so much. And I've seen Acoma pottery in different places on many of my trips that I've taken. But to see it, like, from the actual people is just, I think, pretty cool.
Oh, that is my favorite pottery. Yeah.
It's beautiful.
That's what I collect. I spent a lot of money this last trip. And then my friend Barb gifted me a beautiful older piece that was just gorgeous. So... it was a really happy trip. And I guess that's it for...
Well, that's pretty cool.
For me, for Acoma. I'll have to go back again. I just really enjoy it there.
Well, I think it's a neat trip, especially when you're going through Albuquerque, because it's just right there off of, the highway, well, more or less right off the highway. And there's so much there to learn and appreciate the history of the people that have lived here and the number of clans that have been there.
And just to see how difficult life must have been, at that point, and how well they were able to adjust and make it better for their people. I mean, up to the point where they were slaughtered, but
up until that point.
Up until that point. But they came back, and they are thriving and they're surviving, and it's a gorgeous place to go visit. I recommend it 100%.
All right, then I think we should do that again.
I think we should. I'm happy to go back.
All right, well, cool. Well, hopefully you've enjoyed this, and you've enjoyed all of our content that we've had on our multiple videos. So be sure to like us and subscribe to us. Give us a thumbs up, please. And share with your friends that might enjoy this content as well.
Sharing helps.
Yes. But I think that's about it.
Okay, well, that's it for y'all. Y'all be careful.
All right.
Have a good week. We'll see you next week.
All right, we'll see you next week with 10 o'clock on Thursdays.
That's right.
All right. Hike your own hike.
Bye, guys.
Bye.